Hello. Um, Yesterday I watched a YouTube video made by a software engineer. He told how after 9 months of unemployment, he was close to a mental breakdown. His job had been replaced by AI. Many other programmers in the comments section wrote how they too are suffering the same situation. They had anxiety. Some are physically ill. So this made me think about a book I had read recently, Kurt Vonnegut's Piano Player. Now this is his more famous book, Slaughterhouse-Five. I'll tell you what happened to Piano Player at the end of it, what happened to my copy. So spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about the ending of this book. So if you would like to read it, then you should not watch this video. So this novel was written by Kurt Vonnegut in 1952. He was the first novelist that I know of to consider what would happen when automation replaces people. So people today are talking about what will happen when AI replaces actors, programmers, writers, graphic artists, radiologists, and eventually factory workers. But Vonnegut was asking a deeper question. What happens after that? In Piano Player, machines run almost everything. Factories are automated. Machines take over housework. So workers are not needed. Society splits into two groups, a small elite cadre of engineers and managers, and everyone else. Okay, the manufacturing companies are taxed to give an income to the unemployed. So the people have food and housing, but they suffer a kind of malaise because they're not needed, and that's the problem. And it leads to trouble. Okay, the philosopher Hannah Arendt also explored this idea. In The Human Condition, she distinguishes between different types of human activity. One of her concerns was what happens when people are cut off from meaningful work. Not just unemployment, but activity that connects them to the world. Her argument is that without that, people become adrift, disconnected, not fully engaged in society. This is exactly what you see in Piano Player, and it's exactly what we may be starting to see with AI. Okay, most AI discussions today ask whether AI will take away our jobs. Tech companies counter that this is not a problem. New jobs will appear. Historically, that has been true, like people say, the Industrial Revolution. But this time it might be different because AI doesn't just replace labor, it can think. And with Chinese robots surging onto the market, that hasn't happened in the United States yet, but it's coming. It's a thinking machine that can work with its hands. So the real question isn't, will AI take jobs? That's already happening. The real question is, what is the role of humans in a system that doesn't need them? Okay, this book really isn't about unemployment. It's about uselessness. People don't lose income. They have less income. They lose purpose. They lose status. They lose identity. They lose meaning. And once that disappears, things start to break down in less obvious ways. I mean, think about people ask you, like myself, Walker. Hi, my name is Walker. Hi, how are you? What do you do? Oh, I'm a computer programmer, retired. Now I make videos on computer chips and teach programming for free to children. So see, you identify with your work, especially in the United States. Here in Europe, where I live, that's less the case. But anyway, in the novel, people don't just quietly accept this. They drift. They are bored, frustrated, resentful, anxious, emotionally distanced. Some fall into alcoholism. They disengage. There's no fix for this. In the novel, there is violence. One of the engineers in charge of the system travels to Homestead, which is a town across the river where the unemployed live. He travels there to try to get his boss out of trouble. His boss had gone there and somehow left behind his pistol. Long story. But he stays and he interacts with the people. Then he begins to frequent the place. He becomes racked with guilt and the inequality of the system. So he does what no one else has done before him. He quits. He joins the counter movement. He joins up with like-minded people. Okay, the situation spirals out of control. Civil war breaks out. I won't tell you how it ends. Leave that one bit of information for you to find out on your own if you want to read the book. But anyway, so now look at what's happening today. This isn't just factory automation anymore. AI is starting to replace programmers, designers, writers, analysts. It's in its early phases, right? I mean, I as a programmer use AI. I teach my programming students how to use AI. But young programmers, the ones that just graduated from university, are not able to find work. That might change. Okay, anyway. So this is different from past technological shifts. Okay, machines used to replace physical labor. Now they're replacing cognitive labor, the type of work that gave people identity and status. But here's what makes Vonnegut's idea even more interesting. When he wrote The Piano Player in 1952, modern computers did not even exist yet. The only computers at that time were massive machines built with vacuum tubes. They were huge, unreliable, the tubes burn out a lot, and extremely limited. So these were logic gates before the transistor, before the integrated circuit, before the microprocessor. Those vacuum tube systems were the earliest form of what would eventually become computer chips. And yet, Kurt Vonnegut thought about how AI could upend society, not only before there was AI, but before there were modern computers. Yes, there were mainframe computers then, but computers had not gone mainstream. Small business, personal computers. Okay, so you jump ahead into the future, to today. Okay, what we need today, we need a novelist to write a new book about the situation. I'm a writer, but I'm just more of a journalist kind of writer. We need someone like a Thomas Pynchon or Cormac McCarthy to write a book about this. Definitely, hopefully some publishing house is thinking about this. Philosophers are writing about that, but who reads philosophy? Okay, so a novelist needs to write a new book about the situation today. Right now, there are still plenty of jobs, but major tech companies are laying off people. Oracle laid off, 30,000? Some huge number. Okay, in one county in Maine in the United States, they even limited the number of automated cashiers at a grocery store to try to protect jobs. Okay, ChatGPT has replaced legal researchers and translators. And Chinese robots will replace many factory workers. Even soldiers will be replaced by drones. Geoffrey Hinton, one of the inventors of AI, when asked what he would recommend to a child today, what kind of work he should look for, he said plumber. So at some point, money and power is going to flow to the top tech companies. It already has started that way, right? And that was in the past. It's just going to do that more significantly. The wealth gap, whatever you call it. Income inequality. Okay, drug companies, manufacturers, tech companies, and other businesses at the top will accumulate most of the capital, right? Stockholders who own capital will grow even wealthier. So we will return to a kind of feudal aristocratic system. So what will happen to the unemployed? It could be like the French Revolution. You remember Marie Antoinette? The mobs were outside saying, "We need bread." She said, "Let them eat cake." Well, they cut her head off. So if things go as Vonnegut imagined or Jeffrey Hinton warns about, then we might have to choose between giving people money or suffer social unrest. In Piano Player, the manufacturers were taxed by the government to give the people a living wage. But what happens to these people once they have money but no purposes? We might have to do what Aldous Huxley envisioned in his novel Brave New World. There, they gave the people a happy pill. It was called Soma, to keep them happy and from killing the rest of us. Now, I promised you I would tell you what happened to my copy of the Piano Player. So my bookshelf here is full of works by Dickens and Cormac McCarthy and Shakespeare and, classical writers, Dostoevsky. So I try to just read the best books. And The Piano Player was, I believe, his first novel. So it was very elementary. I mean, it didn't have any psychological depth or character development. It was written like a bad novel, like Gone Girl or The Firm or something like this. I was very surprised because Kurt Vonnegut is well known. I just don't read a lot of dystopian type novels. Friends have told me, go back and try him again, so I got Slaughterhouse-5. But The Piano Player I sent to the charity shop. Here in Europe, the charity shop is where you get rid of old clothes and old books. Okay, thanks for watching my video. See you next time.